This is a space to open up dialogue through anonymous trust. In an advice-based format inspired by old newspaper columns, with submissions directly from my listeners, we interactively exchange experience for perspective. It's about ownership, acceptance, and the power of self. How else would you get the answer to a question you would never say out loud? Through a little leg up in a miniskirt revolution. Hi guys, welcome back to Miniskirt Revolution. So I've had this idea and I want to play with experimentation in the format of the video, in the format of the episodes. And for every fourth episode, I want to do something completely different from the submission-based format that we've established so far. I want to kind of break it up a bit and not make things so repetitive and so predictable. So I think every fourth episode, I'm going to try to do something different within the scope of what the podcast is about and what the conversation is and what we should be talking about, and kind of a summation of what we've talked about in the past 3 episodes. And I'm going to try to do that in a very kind of creative, abstract way. And for this week, I thought of something. It's something I've wanted to share with people since I wrote it. And recently I had a publication reach out to me to tell my story of why I decided to transition, because my transition happened recently and within the past year or so, after modeling or working or living as a certain way for so long as an androgynous person or whatever. So they asked me to write about what influenced my decision and what made me decide to ultimately transition. And I wanted to share this essay that I wrote with you guys for this publication in this format, because I wanted to maybe let you guys get to know me on a more personal level, and hopefully you can see some sort of correlation with yourself inside the story of what I've been through and how I've processed and how I came to this decision for myself. And not to say that this will help you decide to transition or whatever, but maybe this will help you reflect and be able to see your decisions and your choices a little more clearly, and maybe it'll help you give you the perspective to make difficult decisions, as this one was for me. So this essay I wrote is called "Now My Reflection is the Girl I Looked Up To." How are you? Such an odd question. On one hand, it's a repetitive interaction that usually gets shrugged off with a dismissive "good," and we keep moving. But in reality, how could you ever summarize how you're actually doing in a 5-second elevator pitch ready for the high frequency of times you get asked this question every day? About 2 years ago, this question and its allotted nonchalance admittedly started bothering me, because no matter how I replied, I felt like I was cheating someone out of the truth. If I say things are great to placate and keep it light, I'm not genuinely connecting in an honest way. But if I dive into how I'm really feeling in the depths, not everyone wants to plunge so far into your life when they bump into you at the supermarket. Cue social anxiety and generally avoiding people. It eventually became a double-edged sword I couldn't avoid in my day-to-day. And the reason is that I didn't know how I was, and I was frustrated with the uncertainty. Something I've always been grateful for has been my clarity a perspective of where I was and who I was. But this was the first time I had no answer. Well, I had an answer. I just didn't discover it until I accepted how everything around me was changing, because I was changing. A deceptively subdued external turbulence generated an opposing internal, more volatile cycle that was the mirror I needed to face to see who I was turning into. After a rough year in my personal life, from a traumatic experience to a manipulative relationship, I gained a fresh perspective on who I was going to have to be to survive. The girl I looked up to when I was younger. She was powerful. She was determined. She was beautiful. She was unapologetically present. She was Laura Croft unearthing ancient treasure. She danced with Donna Summer in glitter and limelight. And she said, "Good morning, Charlie," every morning with a hair flip. I grew up getting lost in fantastical lands of feminine strength. In that, subconsciously, I found a language that became encoded in my memory, that would be there when I needed it most. There were none of the limitations that I felt at school, with my friends, in my body, etc. They were somehow allowed to be complex, multifaceted, and complicated, putting the human in superhuman. It developed to resonate with every strength I recognized in myself in today's very real world. However, you don't just wake up one day and decide that you're worthy of being anywhere near close to these women. It's something you have to earn in the presence of your greatest challenges. Don't they say you can't have a diamond without a little bit of pressure? With my challenges becoming more and more pressing from every angle, the pressure was definitely on. And it was in the hardest moments when the shell of my old self began to crack. The sacred strength from the hidden feminine language embedded in my memory came to shine through. I found a voice in the midst of suffocation. I heard the voice before I saw anything. This whisper of clarity was the first breath of release that filled my lungs in about a year. My reality was merging with my fantasy, and it felt right. My idols were in grasp, and I had to do whatever it took to ensure my place among them. I had to take some real-world steps to fuse this feminine language with my DNA to permeate both realms. And on January 4th, 2019, I established a weekly ritual with myself to protect and secure this new version of me. In other words, hormone replacement therapy saved my life by giving me a new one. Fiction and science started spinning together in harmony, like the yin-yang symbols I drew incessantly all over my homework and school books as a child. I think one goal we all share intrinsically is to become someone the kid versions of ourselves would look up to. And I can say today that I am that girl. And now, whenever I'm asked, "How are you, Dylan?" no matter how I answer, I'll never feel like I'm cheating myself again. And that's my essay. Now my reflection is the girl I looked up to. So, what do you guys think? Do you enjoy this kind of format? I really want your feedback, because I think this doesn't work. It doesn't work without me, and it doesn't work without you. So I want to know what you guys, how you feel about this, and if you like switching it up. I really want to find ways to push the conversation in maybe a more creative and a more, like I said, abstract direction, especially just like every fourth episode or so. So I would really appreciate your feedback, and I would love to know what you thought about the essay, and if you related, or tell me your stories. I want to hear about your decision making, and I want to hear the last big hard decision that you had to make, and what do you feel like you had to protect yourself from. And I just want to hear from you guys about how this makes you feel, and if it makes you feel, and if you want more of this, and if you want more of my writing on the channel, or if you want me to read more people's writing, or if you guys want to submit to me your writing, that's also something I'm thinking about doing. So I'm open to all kinds of things. I just want to keep every fourth episode pretty experimental as far as the format goes, and just kind of keep things alive here and not so one note. The submissions are great, and I love doing that with you guys, but I think the conversation can dive deeper. Just let me know what you guys think. Yeah, I love sharing with this you guys. I love sharing this with you guys. I love being personal and vulnerable, and I'm not afraid of it. And yeah, I can't wait for the next one. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Miniskirt Revolution. Stay tuned for more secrets getting their time to shine. If you have anything you'd like to share or submit, please don't hesitate to reach out across all social media at Miniskirt Revolution. My inbox is always open for you, as well as my personal page at hookerlegs. Or if email works better for you, you can submit at miniskirtrevolution@gmail.com. Until next time, keep your hemline high and the revolution alive.